Selected parts from the book The Tunnel of Time, written by R.K. Lakshman. Part 15. As my work became widely popular, it attracted the attention of discriminating readers and the thinking public. I received letters and phone calls from lawyers, city fathers, college professors, management consultants, academists, and so on. Social organizations such as the Rotary and Lions Club and innumerable other similar institutions perpetually searching for a speaker eyed me as an ideal stopgap. Program secretaries suffered the nightmare prospect of running out of speakers to adorn the stage when the weekly meetings inexorably approached. There were numerous hints and suggestions that I would be invited to address one of their meetings. The impression that I was a voluble speaker was wrongly based on the eloquence of my satirist's comments in my cartoons. What they did not know was that behind those bold and daring thoughts and laughter provoking cartoons was a man who deterred and shied away at the sight of the gathering of a dozen people in front of him. I had never in my student days gone up on a stage to participate in a debate, drama, or elocution contest. I was essentially a backbencher. So now, if someone approached me under the misconception that I was an orator and asked me to address this or that group, I would say that I would be out of town, that I had an appointment with the dentist, that I had to go to the airport to receive an old relative, and so on. But these stock excuses could not keep at bay the host of organizations starved of speakers for the week. I knew this kind of dodging would not work for long. One day, a president or secretary of a club would force me to go up on the platform and face the audience. I visualized myself collapsing there out of sheer nervousness, perspiring and begging for water, making a fool of myself in full view of hundreds of spectators. One day, a couple of youngsters dropped in to invite me to be the chief guest at an annual school function. They said they were from a night school somewhere in the suburbs. Before I could select a suitable excuse from a bag of lies, one of them said, "You don't have to make any speech, sir. It's just that all the boys are eager to see you. You only have to distribute the awards for the best essays." I was tempted. I felt it would be a good beginning in facing an audience at least. I would arrive at some obscure school in the suburbs, distribute the prizes with patronizing handshakes, mumble encouraging words, and get away. I accepted the invitation. They were overjoyed and thanked me. Then they said that evening's speaker was a matinee idol. After they left, I felt somewhat let down. The movie star was bound to overshadow me. I would be just a dummy on the decorated stage. But it was too late to withdraw my acceptance of the invitation without hurting the youngsters and damaging my reputation. A week later, one of the boys turned up to show me the program, welcome address, prayer, garlanding the guests, annual report read by the principal, plan for the coming year, distribution of prizes, and speech by the famous actor. I did not know what moved me at that moment. I heard myself say, I think it would not be in order if I did not say a few words thanking the organizers for inviting me and saying some encouraging words to the boys. Please, sir, we will be extremely grateful if you say a few words about your profession. So, I began to draft my short speech to describe the work style of a cartoonist. It was just a 10-minute speech, but I spent night and day writing it, adding jokes, serious advice, anecdotes, and moralizing. I memorized the whole speech and rehearsed it standing in front of the dressing table mirror. I even taped my recital, listened to it, and corrected my pronunciation and emphasis. The whole idea was to make my oration seem casual and spontaneous. On the appointed day, I dressed in a grey suit and red tie and waited for the car to pick me up and escort me to the venue. The auditorium was large and filled to capacity. I estimated there were more than 500 people in the audience gaping at the cine star. Not all were students, as I had guessed, but also faculty members and outside invitees. When the introductory formalities were over, the movie star was invited to make his speech. He rose to his full 6 feet, humbly pressing his palms in grateful thanks to the applauding crowd. The audience listened to him in rapt attention. He gave a quick biographical sketch of himself, how he rose from humble beginnings to fame and success. He appealed to the younger generation to work hard, achieve their goals, and bring credit to their parents and to India. Thus, he went on for half an hour giving advice, quoting from the life of eminent thinkers, and liberally projecting himself as an example of hard work, devotion, and selfless commitment to the nation. He returned to his seat to the thunderous explosion of clapping. Then came my turn, starting with the distribution of prizes to the winners of the essay competition, a certificate, a writing set, a photo frame, and so on. That done, I sat down trembling with nervousness, waiting to be summoned to give my 10-minute speech entitled A Cartoonist's View of Life. I had not seen a mic at such close quarters before. The sea of faces staring at me and the silence surcharged with expectation made my knees wobble. Resting my elbows on the podium for support, I began. Friends, I feel greatly honored to be here this evening. You might wonder what is a cartoonist and what sort of life he leads. Most of you must have seen a carpenter at work, a tailor stitching clothes, a bricklayer building a wall, a watch repairer, a motor mechanic, and so on. But few, I am sure, have breathed down the neck of a cartoonist to observe his creative process. It would be a cruel act, for he is in the throes of creation, waiting in agony. It would be like asking a man in the dentist's chair, "Do you mind, sir, if I watched your molars being extracted?" My humor struck home. I waited for the din of clapping to subside and continued. I was a different person, miraculously transformed. No longer a self effacing, shy individual, I began to give a freewheeling talk, departing from the one I had got by heart. I stretched my speech for more than 30 minutes, punctuating it with wit and sprinkling it with anecdotes. I would have gone on, but for a glance at the huge clock on the wall, appreciation and applause were showered on me with bouquets and garlands. I romped home triumphant that evening. It was my beginning as an orator. Within a year, I had spoken at all the local clubs, association meetings, colleges, and schools. Similar institutions all over the country extended invitations to address political scientists, economists, industrial magnates, management experts, sales representatives, travel agents. Perhaps bored with listening to speeches about their own professions, they found what I said refreshingly unconventional, unique, and entertaining for a change. Later, I began to give sketching demonstrations at the end of my speech, caricaturing political leaders, which became an added bonus for the organizers. Later on, I went to the US, the UK, Germany, Austria, and Australia on a similar mission. One of my best moments was when I was invited by Heidelberg University. Late at night, I was to be picked up from the airport and driven to the city about 40 kilometers away. I did not know who was coming to receive me. People were crowding the exits of the terminal. As I stood with my luggage, wondering what to do, I saw someone holding a huge placard showing my common man in the semi darkness of the receiving area. The person holding it was one of the university professors who was to drive me to Heidelberg. He thought that this was the easiest way to attract my attention and welcome me, he said. Thanks for listening.